The Supreme Court has decided that they will take on the Colorado gay wedding cake case that will be heard this fall. You may have heard something about this, that there was a baker that refused to bake a wedding cake for a gay couple. But we're gonna break down exactly what is gonna be decided and what either side is going to be arguing for you right now. So the justices announced Monday that they will hear a case presented by a Colorado bakery owner who claims his rights to free exercise of religion and free speech were violated when he was found to have run afoul of a state anti-discrimination law by turning down a gay couple's order for a wedding cake in 2012. That's sort of the headline that most people know, but let's break down specifically what was asked and what's going on. This is from Fortune. The appeal involves Charlie Craig and David Mullins, who tried to order a cake from their upcoming reception from Masterpiece Cake Shop in Lakewood, Colorado. The owner, Jack Phillips, told them he would be happy to sell them other baked goods, but would not prepare a wedding cake because doing so would conflict with his beliefs against same-sex marriage. Now, Jack Phillips is very religious. He's a born-again Christian, and he felt that baking a wedding cake would be him participating in a wedding that he does not agree with because of his religious beliefs. So after hearing about Phillips's refusal, another bakery provided Craig and Mullins with a rainbow-adorned cake free of charge. But the couple decided to file a complaint with Colorado's Civil Rights Commission. The commission decided to bring a discrimination case against the bakery, and the state's top court upheld that decision. What's interesting about this particular case is that the Supreme Court will have to weigh in on the First Amendment claims of Jack Phillips, and he argues that he's not a baker, but he is an artist, and this is limiting his artistic expression. He shouldn't have to express himself against his will. The couple will likely counter this by saying that they did not demand that Jack Phillips inscribe anything on the cake. It didn't have to say happy gay wedding, Craig and David. There was no specific message. They just asked him to supply the cake, which he did not do. Now, weighing in on this, we should remember that a poll recently reported that 2/3 of Americans support gay marriage, and that this is actually the first time, this is again from Fortune, that a majority of Republicans don't oppose same-sex marriage, as it is the law of the land, and that anniversary just passed, so great for gays. Jack, I wanna get your reaction to this. I don't wanna speculate on the outcome, but let's talk about some details that maybe people should be aware of leading into it, and then we're gonna hear from a lawyer. We are.
Sort of.
Sort of, sure.
It's tough because he was willing to supply baked goods and cakes and all that stuff for the wedding. So not saying, I'm just not gonna touch your gay wedding, I'm just not doing any of it. He's like, I just don't wanna do the wedding cake. But he said specifically, if you guys want sandwiches or like random cakes, cool, I'm down. So he's not necessarily discriminating against them, the people, but he's unwilling to make the specific wedding cake. And I think that's why this case is actually genuinely interesting. Instead of just like open shut, like we're good. This dude gave the middle finger to 2 gay dudes when they were holding hands in his shop. Like that's a totally different thing. So it is, I think it's an interesting case. I don't know where it will land, and because I'm not a lawyer.
Right, another important thing to remember is that this will be one of the first major cases that Neil Gorsuch, who is the most recent Supreme Court justice, will be presiding over. So it'll be really interesting to see where he lands on this, because he is predominantly conservative.
He's a textualist.
Yes, also let's hear from a lawyer. That lawyer is, you guys always, I'm sorry I have to mention this, but it's true. My girlfriend is a lawyer, and I asked her about this, and she texted me some stuff that I would like.
And she hates cakes.
She hates
so
cakes.
It's actually a really good person to talk to.
So here are a couple things that she wanted to point out. Let's just make sure we're all educated on the case moving forward. Okay, so she said, this will be really interesting for Justice Kennedy, who is both a strong supporter of gay rights and a defender of religious freedom. So remember, we're talking about religious freedom, gay rights, also freedom of expression. Is a baker an artist? That's something he would have to prove. I hope that they watch episodes of Cake Wars and Ace of Cakes.
It's called Masterpiece, is the name of his store. He's kind of got more of like an argument of being an artist. Like he set himself up for this years ago.
So another interesting point that she says we should talk about is a key term may also be place of public accommodation. The idea that if a business is open to the public, they benefit from things like roads, police forces protecting communities, etc., that help their businesses function. So they have to be non-discriminatory. So that's very interesting, because this did take place in a state that has protections against discrimination of LGBT people. So that's why this is a case to begin with, because there are also a number of states, I believe 20+ states, that have protections for people who want to discriminate on the basis of religious freedom against LGBT people. But this took place in Colorado, where they do have protections, and that's why this is going to the Supreme Court.
That's why it's a case, yeah.
Another thing that she wanted to bring up. This is something that I think we forget a lot, especially those of us who are not in the legal profession. Basically,
the majority of us.
Yeah, I think one overarching thing you could keep in mind is that a lot of people think constitutional freedoms and boundaries apply to businesses when they really just apply to the government. Private businesses have a lot more leeway than people might think. For example, if a business doesn't let you say certain things as an employee, that's generally not a freedom of speech issue. Freedom of speech only applies to the government curbing your speech. These are all just things I wanted to keep in mind. I know this case is getting covered a lot, and I think a lot of times when cases like this come up, as a member of the LGBT community, I know that we have this sort of knee-jerk reaction of, oh, this is awful, how there's no way that there could even be an argument against this. Well, we have to face the fact that this is going to the Supreme Court. There are major legal minds who have decided there is an argument on both sides here, and we're gonna see it play out this fall, and there is an argument to be made, and I disagree with it. I think that he should totally have made the cake, but my opinion doesn't matter. And at this point, we shouldn't be speculating on what we think.
Your opinion matters.
Thank you, Jack. That's why you're on the show.
That's literally it.
What we should be doing is educating ourselves on both sides of things, so when they have the decision coming forward, when there's the dissent, and then when there's the opinion from the court, we're at least educated on exactly what was being argued. So with that said, go check out, do your own research. There are a ton of articles out there. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Let us know what you think of this case, if you're following it, this is something you care about at all. If you watch Cake Wars, all of that.
Do you think bakers are artists?
Do you think bakers are artists? What is the argument for that? Don't forget to subscribe to this channel, and we will see you next time on Pop Trigger.